Let me tell you a story that still gives me chills to this day. This is the kind of terrifying experience that scars you for life. It all started in my senior year of college. I was the big man on campus, captain of the baseball team, dating the hottest girl, and instantly popular with everyone. Jim was my wingman, always trying to level up like me. One night we got into it with this dude Mark at a party. Mark was a bit of a loser and resented all the attention I got. He shoved me and made a snide comment about me being overrated. Of course, I shoved him back harder and a scuffle broke out. It got pretty heated until our friends pulled us apart. Mark got up in my face and sneered, "Let's see how tough you really are. I dare you to prove yourself by spending a night in the Roberts basement." The urban legend. You see, there was this crazy urban legend surrounding the basement of this abandoned old house just off campus. Rumor was, back in the 1800s it belonged to the Roberts family. Real messed up people from what I gathered. Stories said they dabbled in dark occult rituals, holding satanic masses and human sacrifices down in their old fruit cellar basement. They supposedly tortured and killed dozens of people in these underground ceremonies to appease some ancient demon gods. The legends got even crazier, stories of restless spirits howling from the depths, faces appearing in the dirt basement window at night, and people going missing after venturing too close. Of course, nobody really believed that sensational ghost story crap. But nobody dared go near that basement either after generations of terrorizing local kids with the legends. Rising to the dare, so when this loser Mark dared me to actually spend a night down there, of course I had to accept the challenge. No way a tough guy like me was going to back down from an urban legend. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little creeped out. Growing up in that town, my parents drilled those twisted Roberts basement stories into me just like every other kid. They always warned with that stern, serious voice, "David, you must never, under any circumstances, go near that house or set foot in that unholy basement. The forces rumored to reside down there are ancient and malevolent beyond imagining." I brushed it off at the time, pretending it didn't rattle me. But those words echoed in the back of my mind as I prepped for the dare. Night of the challenge, the plan was to sneak into the old Roberts property after midnight and hide out in the basement until dawn to prove myself. I figured it would just be a dusty old cellar, no big deal. Jim and Mark watched through the cracked basement window as I carefully pried off the rusty old stone doors just after 12:30 a.m. One deep breath for courage, and I descended the age-worn stone steps into the inky darkness. Once my eyes adjusted, I could make out an antiquated chamber lined with dirt walls and low wooden beams. It felt like the set of an old horror movie witch trial or something. An unmistakable sense of dread permeated the cramped space. Disturbing signs. There were faint markings scrawled across every surface, archaic symbols and foreign writings that looked occult in nature. Some kind of sinister graffiti or failed erasure of past rituals. Honestly, it was pretty unnerving. In the center of the dirt floor was a shallow dirt pit about 10 feet across, ringed by old discolored stones. Something about that ominously sunken earthen formation planted an undeniable seed of primal fear. I tried to shake off the creepy vibes and sat back against the old root cellar's main archway to wait out the night. For about an hour, I just sat there listening to the settling creaks of the aged basement around me. That's when I started hearing the whispers. Whispers in the dark. It started as a faint, unintelligible murmur, like voices riding on the cold tendrils of a night breeze. But it seemed to be coming from the dirt itself. The very earth was exhaling these hushed, indecipherable utterings. At first I tried to ignore it, chalk it up to the imagination of someone just a little too on edge in a spooky setting. But the whispering grew louder, more persistent, like a swarm of invisible entities were coalescing in that enclosed space. I felt my heart pounding as the voices intensified into a cacophonous din, babbling madness layered upon eldritch growls, and disturbing phrases began slithering through in haunting clarity. "Join us, feed the hunger, your soul, sweet offering." A sinister presence. Panicked, I stumbled back against the dirt wall, only to recoil at the sensation of something moving and slithering just below the surface. Like 1,000 microscopic tendrils were wriggling through the soil itself, all coalescing into one unified sentient force. I froze in sheer terror as a skeletal, decomposed hand slowly punched through the wall of compacted earth beside me. Bits of bone and desiccated flesh clung to the twisted, gnarled appendage as it fully emerged, pawing outwards. It began clawing towards me, lifeless fingers scraping and groping for any purchase on my shirt or limbs to pull me in. I could see shallow pits forming in the wall as more deathly hands erupted forth, grasping and groping blindly. Gauntlet of horror, that's when I saw the rest of the tortured skeletal figures being birthed from the putrid soil, sunken rib cages draped in tatters of decaying flesh, crooked limbs bent at obscene angles, and hellish visages of agony immortalized in expression. I let out a scream and tried bolting for the cellar steps, but they shifted as one grotesque mess to block my escape. The howling din of rancid breath and flayed vocal cords grew deafening as they lurched forward, bony fingers grasping and scraping. Narrow escape. I don't know where I summoned the primal force from, but something snapped and I plowed through the undead blockade like a frenzied animal. I clawed and shoved and clambered over their lurching, decayed forms until I finally broke through into fresher air. Stumbling up the stairs, sobbing and gasping, I doubled over and vomited onto the grass outside, my body racked with tremors. That's where Jim and Mark found me some time later, catatonic with terror. After that night, I was never the same. Not after glimpsing the real ancient horrors gestating in that hellmouth of evil. I lost my bravado, my swagger, my sense of being. Final warning, listen, I don't care how tough you think you are. I don't care if it's just a dare or you think you're invincible in your youth. Some places were never meant to be trifled with. There are darker things than this world is prepared to face slumbering in those forsaken spaces. You've been warned if you ever encounter a house like that, with whispers of evil seeping from the very earth, don't spend a night in the basement. Please, just keep walking, and thank whatever higher power that protects you from knowing the unfathomable terrors I encountered. Some horrors are better off remaining buried.